Welcome back everybody. Today we're gonna play Harbor on Split. Today's day 146 of playing every agent on every map. Today's agent Harbor is in my opinion one of the most underrated agents in the game. I really like playing Harbor, I really like the option that the Harbor gives to the team, and also I think Harbor is just a agent that is not really in need of a buff, it's just in need of a change in minds of people. I think Harbor can be one of the best smokes agents in the game, especially on attack, not that well on defense, but if you play him, especially in double smokes, he can be so suppressing to play against a Harbor. Starting off with A-side defense. And on A-side defense you can throw a wall in the beginning of the round that looks like this. Here, and then you make a turn. Like this you have ramp blocked off, so your teammates can cross over towards ramp, and you also have main blocked off, so you can just hold the main space and make it so the enemies that are coming out of the main smoke are gonna be slow. This is even really strong because you can dodge most of the flashes by just waiting here, waiting for them to flash, and then peeking out and start spraying them. Other than that, you can also get close up and get a really good off angle of the people that are coming in. Also, as soon as your wall fades down, you can, if you are close here, throw a wall like this. Same wall can also be thrown at the beginning of the round from up ramp. Just throw this wall and make it harder for the enemies to come out of main. This wall is also better than almost any smoke that you can throw right here, because the people that are playing right here on the back cannot really look over this wall because the wall is pretty tall, so they are not able to peek the people that are playing on ramps. With a smoke in main right here on any other agent that is using smokes other than a Viper smoke, it is possible to look over on this side and also on this side, so you can fight the people that are coming over. That is not possible on a Harbor. Other than that, you can also play up here on ramp and use walls like these to kind of stop the enemies from coming up ramp, and then even cross over, even leave a little gap, fight the people through this gap, and get a lot of kills like that. Something you can also do that is actually pretty underrated is a wall like this to block off main, and also give yourself a small copy to hide in right here. This is insanely strong for a couple of reasons, especially if you have, for example, a chamber that can peek through this wall and hold the enemies from coming in, and then can just TP back. Same thing also with a Yoru or a Chat that can just dash back through the wall. And also you have main blocked off, and even if they come through this wall right here, they're gonna have another wall to go. And if the enemies are coming through main, if they're just rushing, you can hide behind this wall right here, let them walk in, and then peek out behind them and get a lot of kills like that. Another spot where this is also possible, even though it is not as great, is right here. You can get yourself a little copy back here, wall of main, and also wall of ramp. Harbor's walls are really good to hold a main space in general, because you can wall up a lot of spots with just one singular wall and make it really hard for the enemies to take this space. Now switching over towards a retake, and if you're retaking A, you can use a wall back here to get out of the CT space, even stopping it, clearing this close corner, clearing this close corner, and then going back over towards elbow. Another option that you also have is to use a second wall as soon as this wall is starting to go down, and take even more space, stop it right here, and then fight the people that are playing on site, fight the people that are playing close here, and even fight the people that are playing in this close copy right there. Even peeking through here can be pretty good. If the enemies have planted for heaven, you can use a Harbor bubble pretty well to go for a diffuse, and in general using Harbor's bubble to go for diffuses is probably the best case of a Harbor bubble. Other than that, also using it to go out of a certain area really safely is also pretty good. For example, if you know the enemies are holding you from CT, you can also use a Harbor bubble right here to get out of the space. Make sure that your teammates can come out as well, and then maybe go through here with a flash and peek the people that are playing on elbow. If you're retaking from heaven, you can use a cascade towards site and stop it right there, or use one towards main to kind of isolate angles on the site. Like this, you have main isolated and you also have site isolated, so you can fight the people that are playing close here, on elbow, and under here. And you can also use a wall through main to cut the enemies off. Use walls through the site to cut the enemies, cut like the site into a certain area. For example, cutting off a part of main, cutting the site into two parts. This one can help you or your enemies as well, so be a little more careful with the site walls. Or you can also just use a wall like this from CT to kind of cut off the enemies that are playing towards main or towards the copy area, and your team has an easier time taking the site. I would recommend that if you use a wall on site, that you have a teammate that's actually holding this wall, so your teammates can just take the side space, and then the enemies that are trying to push through the wall are gonna get killed by that person that is holding them. Other than that, also getting the ult orb here in main is pretty strong, because Harbor's ult, as you can see, covers all of the site and also covers parts of main, especially if you use it from CT. And like that, you can firstly clear out the site, and then make sure that nobody is coming in from main as well. And now switching over towards mid. And on mid, I think Harbor actually shines a lot. It is really hard for most agents to hold the mid space, other than, for example, a Sage with her wall and then her slows. But for Harbor, you can just use a cascade and kind of stop the enemies from coming in. Also using a wall like this can be pretty good. You can use it in a couple of ways. Just make sure that you are not blocking off your teammates. If you're using it close here, you're going to be able to also wall off the main area and make it possible for your team to take this space right here. If you want to push towards mid, you can also use a cascade like this one in the beginning of the round and let it go all the way down to these boxes and then stop it. Like that, you have, if there is no gap right here, you can have the possibility to wait for the harbor wall to go down and then flash through it and then fight the people that are playing behind it. This is insanely strong if the enemies really like to take the mid space. Other than that, there's not really much you can do on mid. You can obviously use a wall like this. Make sure you don't wall off your teammates on ramp. And hold the mid wall with just your vandals, making sure anyone that is coming through is going to have a hard time coming through. And now switching over towards B. And on B, you actually have a couple of options with a harbor. Firstly, you can play towards backside and just use your cascade to smoke off the main space. Other than that, you can also use a wall either through main like this to kind of wall off the main space, or even use a wall from the other side of main to also help your teammates that are coming or that are playing in mid with a wall like this. This one is more risky because you have to stay on this side of the main, and it's gonna be possible for the enemies to like throw out a reveal or a dog that can like catch you off, and they're gonna have a really easy time killing you. But this wall is way better if they are trying to split B, because you're firstly walling mid and you're also walling B main, so you have both of the areas covered with just one singular smoke. Other than that, also kind of using a wall right here, making it harder for the enemies to take the space, is pretty good. And even if you're playing back here, you can kind of contain the enemies with a wall like this. This wall allows the enemies to go through main and also kind of walk through the wall right here. But if you have somebody holding this space and if you have somebody holding the backside space, it's going to be insanely hard for the enemies to take this space. And even though they are able to get out of main, it's going to be still really hard for them to take the space all over here. You can also use a harbor bubble here and kind of play around it, maybe even peeking out, going for a kill and then going back in. And in general, using your harbor bubble back here is not the worst idea, but it is something that you can use. And now switching over towards a retake. If you're coming from heaven, you can kind of isolate angles with your harbor wall really well. You can use a harbor wall towards the new box area, and then also one towards backside, stopping it right here. And then focus on the people that are playing on under, dropping down, focus on the people that are playing close here. And then with your second wall, you can either decide to wall off main, or you can decide to wall straight through the side, like this. And then using your harbor bubble, clear up backside first, and then using your harbor bubble to go for a defuse. Even if it is planted close here, using your harbor bubble, having a teammate that is standing in front of you, making sure nobody is coming through here, and then going for the defuse can be pretty good. In general, Harvest Bubble is one of the best post-plant tools in the game, and especially with a wall that is also taking away the enemy's line of sight, makes it insanely good for you to go for a defuse and get a win off the round by just going for this defuse. And now switching over towards attack. On attack, you can use a wall like this almost every round. This wall allows your team to either lurk up ramp or just take the space pretty easily. If the enemies tried to play aggressive here on main, you can also just throw them off with a wall like this. It makes it pretty hard for them to like actually push you and hold you close, and they're also going to be isolated from the players that are playing on site. So if you have a flash coming through here, the person here in front of the wall is going to be an easy kill for your team. Other than that, it's also pretty good to just farm this ult orb right here. You can also use a harbor bubble for that. This is an option if you are like in need of a ult orb for example for a chat ult, or maybe even for a harbor ult to take the side, and it can be pretty effective. But then I recommend that you have a teammate that is playing in the harbor bubble with you, holding the enemies while the person is going for this ult. Other than that, if you want to go to the side, using this wall is also pretty good right here on main, because then that allows you to cross over, and then you can use your normal wall like this through heaven and through CT. This wall right here is really good because it covers the heaven area, it also covers the CT area, and it makes it really hard for the enemies to push through because they're going to be slowed. And if you just have somebody that's holding heaven and somebody that is holding CT, the rest of your team can go wherever they want, because the enemies that are coming out of heaven are going to be slowed and they're going to be an easy kill for you. You can also use a wall towards ramp. If the enemies are always peeking your ramp and you don't have any util to clear out ramp, you can just use this wall to kind of stop the enemies from peeking you on ramp, then wait here, use a flash through the wall, and then fight the enemies that are coming up ramp. You have to be kind of careful about shotguns though if you're using this wall. So always keep that in mind, that there could be a shotgun close around the corner waiting for you if you are pushing through the wall, or if you're waiting for the wall to drop. And it also allows the enemies to cross over here towards on ramps. So always clear that corner there as well. If you want to take a side with an ult, I just recommend a simple ult like this one. Or if you know they are not really playing on A site itself most of the times, you can also use it towards heaven. Again, a Harbor ult goes faster if you're moving forwards while you're throwing it, and it also goes slower if you're moving backwards when you're throwing it. You can almost every round plant for Heaven on a Harbor, because even if the enemies are trying to push out of Heaven, with a Harbor bubble right here, you can just go for a plant and get easy ult orbs as well. Something that is really strong on a Harbor is to just go for plants, form the ult orbs, and then have your ult almost every second round. This is insanely strong because if you get a kill, a plant, or if you die, get a plant and a orb, you have 3 orbs already, and that is almost half of the Harbor ult. And if you then get another kill or something like that, you're really close to getting your Harbor ult after a few rounds. Now switching over towards mid, and on mid you can use a Harbor wall like this, a cascade, to kind of stop the enemies from peeking you in mid. Another option for a cascade is also a wall like this, to kind of block off the Heaven space. Make sure that your team can go all the way up here, even have this part here blocked off, and then be able to go to the side. If your plan is to split B through mid and have a teammate that is coming through main, using this wall is insanely strong, and then having a teammate just holding this wall, waiting for the enemies to peek out behind the wall, is really good. Other than that, also using your cascade to resmoke this is pretty okay, and also using a cascade or a smoke on the other side, right here, can be pretty good. Other than that, if you want to wall off or cascade off the other side of main, or like male in mid, you can just throw a cascade like this one from this corner and then stop it. Like this, it makes it really hard for the enemies to push out of male, and also blocks off the male area. And now switching over towards B. And if you're going B, you have an option to throw a wall like this if the enemies really like peeking you in the beginning of the round. You can just throw this wall and then hold the enemies from coming in. Most of the times you're going to have an enemy that is trying to peek you here aggressively, either with an AWP, an Odin, or just any weapon, maybe even a Sheriff. And like that, if you think, yeah, your team is not good enough to just hold them and wait for them to walk into their crosshair and kill them, you can also just use this wall to kind of deter them from getting their main space. This also allows you to walk out here in main and then use your walls from right here. Like this, you can wall off Heaven and CT in one singular motion and make it really easy for your team to take the site. What you can do if you're getting spammed by, or if you're getting one-wayed by a Cypher, is use a cascade to get out of main. Then either decide to go through here with a flash. Same thing also with here with a flash. Don't forget to check on top of these boxes. A bubble right here makes it this really easy. You can just jump off and see if somebody is there, or just walk close here and see if somebody is trying to play on top of there. And then going out and towards site is pretty good. And even if you're not sure that you have a safe plant, you can just throw your bubble here and go for the really good plant that is also for main and for Heaven. If you want to resmoke something, just go towards the side, make sure that you're hidden behind the pillar, and use your cascade like this. Same thing also with CT. With CT you have to get a little closer up. Use a cascade like this one to kind of block them off. This cascade right here in Heaven sometimes bugs out, so you need to kind of be careful that it isn't bugged. And you also need to tell that to your teammates, because it is a really high wall, and since you are throwing your cascade from down here, there could be a point where the enemies can watch over it. If you want to use your ult towards B, I'd actually recommend you use it more towards Heaven. Most of the times you're not going to have anyone playing on the backside, and you can use the other util that your team has to clear that out. And using a ult like this kind of pushes the enemies that are playing in under, playing in CT, and even playing in Heaven or towards male and mid, towards the enemy spawn area, and it's going to make it pretty hard for them to hold this space. What you can also do, if you have an enemy that is always playing on backside and you don't really have any util to clear that person out, you can just use a ult like this and make sure that there is nobody playing on the backside area. Something you can do on eco rounds is a wall like this one as well. Not really a good one, but if you just want to go for a plant, you can use a wall like this one, and then use a cascade to make sure that you can fight the people with close range weapons. Maybe even push through here with a close range weapon, go for a plant, and then just hold from corners, wait for the enemies to come in, and make sure that you only get close range fights. But that is something I would say that is pretty good on ecos, but if you use it on any other round, it is going to be pretty bad for your team, because you are not letting your team take this space right here on site, and also not really letting them take this space right here as well. If I had to give Harbor a rating from S to F, I'd actually give him the A tier. In my opinion, Harbor is one of the best agents to get plants in, and in general, a map like Split that is really defender-sided can be really attacker-sided with a Harbor. His ability to just throw walls almost whenever and make it really easy for the team to entry, even if they are taking some time, is a really good thing, because most agents have 2 smokes, maybe 3 smokes in Brim's case, and then the util for smoking is over. Harbor has his wall and then 2 cascades and then even his harbor bubble, so you can use his smoke in a lot of ways and have all of these areas that are important to be smoked for a really long amount of time and make it really easy to take the space. That would be it from me. If you want to see any other agent on any other map, write them down in the comments, and if you want to see anything else Valorant related, try to hit that there as well. And as always, don't forget to like and sub, and come say hi to me on Twitch where I stream almost daily. Also, there's less than 48 hours left of saving up to 35% on gift subs, so please come say hi and give me some subs. It really helps the channel and I appreciate your support. Have a great rest of your day and see you guys very soon. Bye!